Hey, it's that time again. I'm Kenny Jahng, and this is the Church Tech Today podcast. Today, I wanted to share with you and unpack 7 different threads of thought that I have. In fact, I've been just going down these rabbit holes on these ideas. They're topics that I basically don't hear from church leaders when I'm crisscrossing the country giving workshops and presentations and consulting. Some of these conversations are not even, present at all anywhere. And so I think they're really important. I would love to know if you've been discussing them or seen discussions about this. Where are those forums? Because I'd like to direct people there or be part of that conversation. One of the places that I'm going to be spurring discussions on these topics is inside our community. If you haven't joined us, we have a community of over 7,500 peers, ministry leaders, pastors, staff, inside the AI for Church Leaders and Pastors Facebook group. It's a great group, very dynamic, very active, and we're going to have some discussions there. But before I do that, I just want to unpack that here. And so there's 7 ideas. I'm just going to surface them here on a cursory level, and then I want you to just think of which one resonates with you the most, and then comment or let me know, DM, or better yet, start a thread in the Facebook group, AI for Church Leaders and Pastors, and let's start the discussion. So here we go. These 7 ideas that I think are unconventional or not common, but sorely needed for discussion. And number 1 on the list is the idea that AI really shapes identity formation more than we think. And just like social media has impacted us, AI is going to impact us even more so than social media has. And so the fact that people are asking private questions all hours of the day into AI chatbots now, right? We know that people have been asking questions about meaning and significance and God and Jesus and church and religion into Google for years. But that is a search and retrieval type of activity where you don't have the answers right there. You have to do the work and go through all the things, or even on YouTube, you have to wade through videos, etc. Here, AI now does the synthesis for you, comes back with confidence, and gives you some answers, right? And the answers that they receive are basically going to slowly shape how they think about themselves, how they think about the world, how they think about religion, God, Jesus, and spirituality. And I think this is interesting. It's an unintended consequence of all this. And it basically is creating a pattern of inner dialogue that pastors are not going to hear about. They're not going to be invited into that conversation loop because it's just they're not present, right? And so that, I think, is a really interesting idea that AI is going to be contributing to identity formation much more than we think. How do we, as holders of biblical worldviews, respond or address it or think about it? So that's the first idea. The second idea is that AI really changes the rhythms of the inner life, right? Many people turn to the rapid response during stress, and that habit influences how you're going to pray, reflect, seek guidance, and that consumer expectation of instant response is going to be mapped on top of spiritual development, right? And that shift of instant response expectations is going to touch the deepest places of spiritual development for your people. I think there are healthy ways to respond to that. There are healthy ways to advise around that, healthy ways to build resources that would feed that. But I think it's a question and a discussion that we need to have more of, right? And just we need to have awareness of that shift. The third idea is that AI is becoming a conversation partner before they just talk to any humans, right? Like, people are trying out confessions and doubts and fears with all the digital systems first, right? Harvard Business Review did a study, and they found out the number 1 use case of ChatGPT is not polishing an email or creating novelty, poems or love letters or anything like that. It is therapy and companionship. And that is a big thing. Because when you confess your doubts, when you actually talk to them and remove all the judgment and fear, you know, this is going to be a place that pastors typically have held that spot. And now that's the question, right? Pastors are going to meet people who have already rehearsed their inner story in private ways before they get to the pastor. So I think there might be some upsides. There's definitely downsides. And again, how do you address that? How do you actually meet needs and anticipate them? And then what does that do to those conversations by the time they get to you? I think it's going to be very different than what they've already, what they've been doing in terms of coming to you raw, unfiltered, and unrehearsed. The fourth idea is that AI influences our emotional tone, right? The response people receive can tilt them towards worry or relief, anger, curiosity, avoidance, right? We know that algorithms are fueling rage and hate and FOMO in so many different ways. And basically, all of that tilt, that shift, shapes the posture when they walk into your church, when they go into your sanctuary. It influences them, it biases them, predetermines what their initial posture is to anything that they're going to receive that day. And so I think that's something we need to be aware of. The fifth idea is that AI draws people into like a new kind of attachment per se, like these long sessions back and forth. And people are having these long sessions, right? Like they are developing relationships of some sort with the machine. It creates a felt connection because of the sycophantic speech that ChatGPT and others have, because it remembers every single detail that you give it. And so it is able to utilize all of that information and memory. And that just feels like you're heard, you're known. That's going to alter how people form bonds in real life, real offline community, because of the difference of experience. And then that's going to shift expectations. I think it's just going to increase the expectations in real ways, of both on the negative side of just expecting you to always support them and be kind of like a yes man type of thing, but the expectations of friendship, of relationship, are going to be um, brought up exponentially higher, at the same time as the tension that the distracted world, and the algorithms that make you me centered is going to basically fight against developing your attention span, developing your empathy for others, developing that bond, and real compassion. And so I think that's a real issue. And our churches need to lead in teaching how to build authentic relationships, how to be a basic friend. I think we've lost that. I don't know, is it an art or a science? We've lost that understanding of how to build friendships and how to have reciprocal relationships. And the church has an opportunity here. What number are we on? Or six. We're on the sixth idea, and that is AI shifts expectations for teaching, or teaching and preaching. Right? People grow used to short answers. Right? They're gonna skip all of that needed, slow down, crock pot style work of formation, because instant answers are here. We now have glasses, right, that are going to display text in real time, giving us responses predictively, proactively, and not even in response to our questions, but proactively surfacing things up immediately at all times. And so we're walking into a world that's really going to be completely different in terms of setting those expectations. And that shapes how people are going to listen to your teaching and preaching at church, how they respond to your counseling in-person sessions and your conversations. The Bible study, small group experience is going to change. How much patience they bring to Scripture is going to be a significant shift in the next decade, in the next 5 years. And so I think we need to think through, how are we going to teach the rhythms and disciplines of silence, of space, of Sabbath. Those are things I think we have to wrestle with in quite different ways. And The seventh idea that I've been going down this rabbit hole is that AI is going to set the new norms for trust. People start relying on responses that present themselves as certain, that's truthful, that has confidence and immediate, right? And that's how ChatGPT answers everything. It has over zealous confidence in everything that gives. That changes how they recognize credibility, assumptions of authority, and how they receive the guidance inside church life. So I think that's a big issue of trust. Trust is the currency that churches trade on, and I think this is one of those things that we need to teach our people immediately, because we're moving quite rapidly into a synthetic world where we are not going to know what's true, what's real, and what's not real, what is a representation of and what is not, and that line is going to be blurred. I guarantee you, this next generation is not going to care about cloned versions of us, which is basically something that older generations are allergic to, right? And so I think as the uncanny valley versions of us get solved, as the representations of the AI clones' voices and images and video get better and better in the next couple of years, which will be completely solved, I would say in the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to be able to produce images and videos that you are not going to be able to tell if it's real or not. Once that happens, the idea of trust and credibility is going to change dramatically. Okay, there you go. All of these 7 threads, I think, point to a large field of pastoral work that needs to be taking shape right now, right? Because all of these AI tools are new. They're forming at a rapid pace. We are just at the very beginning of this innovation. Yet the need for responsible thought about how we use these tools, or how we actually give advice, how we present our teaching, how we bring people along a discipleship pathway, how we respond and adjust, that need is just growing stronger and stronger day by day. So I'll just leave it right there. Which of these threads are of most interest to you? What do you resonate with the most? What do you struggle with the most when you go down those list of 7 ideas or different rabbit holes? Let me know in the comments and let's start a discussion. Or better yet, hop into our AI for Church Leaders and Pastors Facebook group, start a thread or join the discussion. I think these are sorely needed, and we need to figure out forums to multiply the way we think about these things, talk about these things, codify our response as kingdom people, so that not only our own community, but the community out there, our neighbors, the zip codes that we're trying to reach, have a worldview that is intact, that makes sense, that's appealing and attractive for them to come to Jesus and the Bible and explore even further what Jesus has to offer them. So hopefully that's been helpful to you. Let me know if you found this useful, if you'd like to discuss even more. In the meantime, I'm Kenny Jahng, and I'll see you here in the next episode.